The narcissist doesn't tremble at your tears. They don't dread your anger, your accusations, or even your confrontations. In fact, those very reactions are the lifeblood of their existence. Your emotions, raw, fiery, or broken, are the oxygen that sustains their fragile ego. But here's the truth, the only thing that truly shakes them, the one thing that pierces through their carefully constructed mask, is when you stop caring. When your heart no longer seeks their validation, when you stop explaining, stop justifying, and stop playing the game they designed. You shift the balance of power completely. That's the moment their illusion begins to collapse. The mask they've worn for so long starts to crack, because it is no longer being reinforced by your emotional energy. In today's reflection, we'll uncover what really happens when a narcissist realizes your silence is not weakness but liberation. This is not just their unraveling, it's your awakening. Part 1. The power of silence in toxic relationships. Especially with a narcissist, power was never truly theirs. It was borrowed from you, sustained by your reactions. Every tear, every argument, every frantic explanation became fuel to prop up their empty sense of self. They survive on chaos because chaos keeps you entangled. But when you choose silence, everything changes. The stage they've been performing on suddenly goes dark. Imagine an actor in an empty theater, no matter how skilled. Without an audience, every performance becomes meaningless. That is exactly what happens to a narcissist when you withdraw your energy. Your silence is the void they cannot endure. And make no mistake, silence is not surrender. It is the boldest declaration: I am reclaiming my energy. I no longer give you the power to define my worth. Part 2. Why calmness terrifies them. Most people believe fighting back shows strength. But in reality, anger is the greatest gift you could give a narcissist. It proves they still control your emotions. Every heated argument, every desperate attempt to explain, only feeds their illusion of dominance. Yet when you meet their chaos with calmness, their arsenal collapses. Silence strips them of every weapon. The manipulations fall flat. The drama goes unanswered. Suddenly, they face the terrifying reality that without your participation, they cannot win. Part 3. The healing hidden in silence. But the deepest value of silence isn't in frightening them. It's in freeing you. In stillness, you begin to hear your own voice again, the one that was buried under confusion and manipulation. You remember that your worth has never been tied to whether someone accepts or rejects you. Each moment you choose not to react strengthens you. It's like training emotional muscles. You are teaching your heart a new truth: I am strong enough to stand in my own approval. And when this lesson becomes a living part of you, the narcissist loses the illusion of power forever. Because they never had real control, they only fed on your reactions. Once you choose peace over conflict, that power returns fully to its rightful place within you. Silence, then, is not defeat. It is a declaration of awakening. It is you saying, I choose peace over chaos. I choose freedom over chains. I am awake. And from that moment on, the balance of power is completely reversed. Part 2. Escalation, desperation in disguise. When you step into silence and stop feeding their endless hunger for reaction, do not expect the narcissist to release you with grace. Quite the opposite. This is the moment escalation begins. Their hollow ego senses collapse. They no longer control you as they once did, and that terrifies them. So, they fall back on the only instinct they know, turning up the drama. You may suddenly find yourself the villain in a storm of accusations, many of them baseless, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated. Their goal is not truth. It is provocation. Every explanation you give, every defense you make, reassures them that you are still entangled in their game. They don't need to win the argument. They only need proof you are still playing. Escalation rarely unfolds neatly. It comes in waves, screaming fits, cruel insults, sudden cold silences. This inconsistency is calculated even if unconscious. It keeps you unsteady. Second, guessing what comes next. And when you are confused, you are easier to control. But understand, this escalation is not strength. It is desperation. Like a drowning person thrashing wildly in the water, their flailing does not show power. It reveals fear. The fear of losing the only lifeline they ever had control over you. The storm and its shadows escalation is not limited to shouting or blame. It often extends into psychological warfare. They may recruit others into the drama, friends, family, or even social media, to paint you as the problem. Lies, distortions, and rumors are spread with one aim: to corner you into defending yourself. But every word you use to explain is energy they devour. Sometimes escalation doesn't just attack you externally, it seeps inward. Doubt whispers in your mind, maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I did hurt them. Maybe it's my fault. This is the most dangerous disguise, when you begin turning against yourself. Once that seed is planted, they no longer need to fight you. You've already chained yourself with guilt. The antidote is steadfastness, so how do you survive this stage? With steadfastness. Recognize that escalation is not proof of their power. It is evidence of their collapse. The shouting, the accusations, even the icy silences are nothing more than theater designed to keep you watching. And theater requires an audience. If you refuse to play along, the curtain eventually falls. Your silence and calmness are your shield. Think of a mountain standing firm as the storm rages around it. The winds howl, but the mountain does not move. Remind yourself daily, I have nothing to prove. I do not need to play this game. Every day you hold steady, you reclaim another piece of the power that was stolen from you. Escalation is like fire. Panic feeds it, silence starves it. If you walk away, the flames lose oxygen and burn out on their own. The narcissist can rage, accuse, or beg, but if you deny them the emotional fuel they crave, the storm eventually consumes itself. Yes, this stage is hard. It tests patience like nothing else. But every moment you don't react is proof you are stronger than you believed. You're not just resisting manipulation. You are mastering yourself. And when you pass this test, you step into a freedom no storm can touch. Because escalation is never proof of strength. It is only the final act before the stage goes dark. And when the lights go out, the truth is revealed: the power was never theirs. It has always been within you. Part 3. The sweet trap, the most dangerous bait. Imagine this: after endless storms of rage, the skies suddenly clear. After wounds upon wounds, you're suddenly offered tenderness, a gentle apology, a memory whispered, a promise of better days. Your heart, exhausted and craving peace, begins to soften. You ask yourself, maybe they've really changed. Maybe this time will be different. And in that exact moment, you are standing on the most fragile edge of freedom. The narcissist knows exactly what melts your defenses. They remember every cherished moment from the beginning, the laughter, the safety, the illusion of love. And they weaponize those very memories to make you believe the person you once trusted has returned. But here is the truth. This isn't change, it's strategy. Real transformation never appears in an instant. True healing requires time, patience, and consistent action. But the narcissist has no intention of changing. They only want control. That's why their apologies arrive suddenly, wrapped in urgency. Trust me now, forgive me now, come back now. This is not growth, it's theater. What makes this stage so dangerous is that it doesn't attack your fears but your deepest hope. Anger you can resist. Rage you can recognize. But when they show sudden gentleness, when tears roll down their cheeks, when they say the exact words you've longed to hear, it is easy to believe it's love. They know where your heart is vulnerable, and they strike there, not out of devotion, but desperation to pull you back into the cage they fear losing. Listen closely to the words they use. Only you understand me. I promise I'll change. I can't live without you. At first, these phrases feel like proof of sincerity, but look deeper and you'll see invisible strings, attempts to bind you again. If remorse were real, they wouldn't rush you. If change were genuine, it would be proven through patience and consistent action, not poetic declarations. And here lies the crucial truth: authentic love never demands you sacrifice your worth to preserve it. A healthy bond does not drag you through pain only to dangle counterfeit tenderness as bait. Someone who truly loves you doesn't wait until you leave to suddenly recognize your value. They don't let you bleed before returning with sweet promises. Why do so many fall for this trap? Because letting go of hope is one of the hardest things we ever do. We want to believe love can heal. We want to believe someone can change for us, and so we mistake temporary tenderness for permanent transformation. But that is how the cycle repeats: hurt, apology, hope, disappointment, again and again. If you are to escape, you must stay awake in the sweetest moments. Ask yourself if they have truly changed. Why did the change only appear once they lost control? If their love is real, why does it only show up when you walk away? And if you return, will the cycle truly end, or will it simply restart in disguise? Sudden kindness is not proof of love. More often, it is proof of manipulation. Promises are not commitments, they are tools. Sweet words cannot erase deep wounds. And sugar on poison doesn't make it safe to swallow. The sweet trap is designed to make you forget the pain and return to the very chains you struggled to break. But your freedom depends on whether you can see through the disguise, resist the urge to return, and hold fast to your truth. Because real love never comes with force. Real remorse never demands instant forgiveness. And true healing never drags you back into cycles of suffering. Part 4: Awakening, the return of power. Once you understand the trap, you are no longer so easily swayed by sweet words or temporary promises. You begin to choose yourself over the endless loop. And in that choice, you discover that true strength is not found in going back for apologies. It is in staying awake and moving forward. This is not just resistance to the narcissist. It is a declaration that you have grown, that your vision is clear, and that you will never again hand your power to anyone else. There comes a moment in every healing journey when the truth lands deeply within you. A moment you never forget: the realization that power was never in the narcissist's hands. It was always yours. You had simply given it away. Awakening begins when you stop reacting the way they expect, when you no longer cling, argue, or justify. That is the moment you step out of the cycle and into freedom. But awakening is not born overnight. It is shaped by endurance, by the sleepless nights, the tears shed, and the heavy questions you whispered in the dark. Why did love hurt so much? Why did it turn out this way? Slowly, you see the truth. The problem was never your worth. It was how the other person distorted and manipulated your love to sustain their illusion of power. Once you withdraw that energy, they have nothing left to hold. The moment of awakening is also the moment of clarity. You finally see the difference between authentic love and disguised control. Real love never comes with threats, ultimatums, or denial of your value. A healthy relationship never requires you to abandon yourself just to keep it alive. And with that awareness, you realize you no longer need to win any argument with a narcissist, because the game itself was never worth playing. The freedom you find is not a bitter silence, but a silence filled with peace and dignity. It doesn't come from hate, it comes from knowing you no longer depend on them for validation. You stop trying to prove yourself, stop waiting for apologies, stop needing their recognition to feel whole. You remember that you were worthy all along, even in your lowest moments. Awakening also calls you inward. In the stillness, you rediscover your own voice, the one buried under manipulation and noise. Forgotten dreams resurface, small joys return, and you begin nurturing your authentic self like planting seeds in fresh soil. Slowly, life begins to bloom again. With this awakening, you finally see that the narcissist was never strong. Their power existed only in your reactions. When you walk away with calm dignity, their false strength dissolves. They may seek new victims, but for you, the game is over. And crucially, you stop expecting justice from them. You no longer wait for them to regret, apologize, or validate your pain, because your healing no longer requires their permission. Freedom is not the absence of storms. It is the presence of inner stillness. You may still encounter them, hear rumors, or witness their last attempts at control. But now, you stand like a mountain before the storm, unshaken, steady, and at peace. That is your greatest victory. And then, you discover the deeper truth: happiness was never out there. It was never dependent on who loved you or who recognized you. It was always within you, rooted in learning to respect yourself, to love yourself, and to choose peace. One day, looking back, you'll see that the pain you endured did not destroy you. It transformed you. It taught you the value of boundaries, the power of silence, and the truth that no one defines your worth but you. Awakening is not the end. It is the doorway to a new chapter. A chapter where you no longer walk with timid steps in fear of loss, but with steady steps of someone who knows they are free. And in that freedom, the narcissist loses not only control, but also their final chance to exist in your world. Because from this moment on, you stand on new ground, the ground of freedom, of awakening, and of self-love. When you have walked through the storm with a narcissist, you discover something profound. Victory was never about making them change, nor about winning their apology. Real victory lies in the moment their emotions no longer dictate your life. The endless cycle of blame, false hope, and disappointment no longer holds you captive. That is when you realize the truth. The power was never theirs to begin with. It was always within you. Your silence is not defeat. It is a statement of strength. It says, I choose peace. I choose freedom. I choose myself. And in that choice, everything shifts. The narcissist may continue their performance, searching for new admirers, but for you, the curtain has fallen. You are no longer part of their play. You have become the author of your own story. The freedom you step into is not just an escape from their grasp. It is the beginning of a new path. The path of self-respect, of listening to your inner voice, of finally standing at the center of your own life. Every scar becomes a lesson. Every heartbreak becomes a teacher, showing you the sharp difference between genuine love and manipulative control. From that moment on, you are no longer chained to their illusions. You stop waiting for their recognition. You stop begging for their validation. You stand firmly in the truth that your worth is not up for negotiation. You were always enough, even when they tried to convince you otherwise. This awakening is not an ending, it is a rebirth. It is the quiet but undeniable strength that comes from knowing you cannot be broken, that your peace is untouchable. And while the narcissist may continue their endless search for control, their grip on you has ended. If you find yourself in the storm today, hold on. The light is not far. Every step you take towards silence, every boundary you honor, every moment you reclaim your power is guiding you closer to freedom. You are not alone in this journey. Countless others are walking the same road, awakening to the same truth. Love does not destroy. And so, let this be your declaration. I am enough. I am worthy. I am free. Unseen Psyche.